All right, guys, welcome back to the First Team Fantasy Podcast. In this one, we have all of our morning game pre for tomorrow. We're going to start it off with the battle for essentially what is the number one seed in the AFC. We have um, Miami heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Over under in this one is at 46.5, and the Ravens are favored by 3. And we have a Miami offense that is first in scoring at 30.9 points per game, first in passing at 275.1 points per game, and fifth in rushing at 136.4.
Sheesh.
Raheem Mostert, we know how he's been doing. He is questionable, but it's very likely that he is going to play. If he plays, I think he's a great start, as is, Tyreek Hill. I think Achane should be good. Um, Tua, I don't. It's harder with Tua because regardless of the amount of yards he might put up in the game, a lot of times what ends up happening, they get down to the goal line, and a lot like what's happened with Lamar in his lower scoring games, they give it to the running back. I mean, Raheem has, I think, 21, 22 touchdowns this year. So it's hard to
Yeah.
score for a quarterback when you're giving it to the running back, and that's just the reality of it. I don't know if Tua is the greatest start, especially with Jalen Waddle missing.
Yeah.
Obviously Tyreek, Raheem, Achane are all good. I think Jason Sanders, you want to throw him in, he's good. It's pretty like I don't want to bring up really the Ravens or the Dolphins defense in this one. I kind of want to say it's all off the table. I think each defense will make their plays, but both sides have guys that are hurt like in important positions.
Yeah.
Both the starting cornerbacks on the Dolphins are questionable, meaning even if they play, they're not going to be at 100%. Brandon Stevens, who's been great for the Ravens, Kyle Hamilton, both not at 100%. So they're missing Javon Holland on the Dolphins. So they're going to have key guys that are not
Yeah.
full go. I think it's late in the year. I think these offenses are both going to put up numbers. So I think Lamar, you're starting him, Zay Flowers. I think Gus Edwards should be a good start. If you want to throw Odell in, I don't think that'll be horrible. Isaiah Likely, Justin Tucker. I don't know about starting either one of the defenses in this one. If you want to get, you know, start thinking one of the quarterbacks might turn the ball over, that's your call.
Yeah.
Go based off that. But I'd more prefer to stick with the offensive guys in this one. I think it will be a high scoring game. Vegas thinks it's going to be a high scoring game. So let's roll with it. Start your guys. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. I think that one should be, or clearly, game of the week. And when we were looking at these matchups, I didn't see too many matchups that I was like, wow, these look really good. But yeah, the Lions Cowboys, that game should be pretty good. And actually, my first game is an important one for the NFC South. It's the Saints at the Bucks, which is actually a pretty big game late in the year. Two quarterbacks that are looking to revamp, and they both are right on the cusp of playoffs. The Buccaneers have the worst pass defense in the NFL, giving up 264 yards. They're pretty solid against the run, only giving up 92. I do not hate the Derek Carr start in this one. He's been lighting it up like crazy as of late. Now, if we're talking a regular 10-man non-super flex, I think he's like right around that 10. I'd actually say he's like missing the cusp just a little bit. But if you're playing super flex, anything like that, dynasty, deeper leagues, even a 12-man, he's probably someone you can plug in. Kamara, yeah, does have that illness. Sorry?
Trevor Lawrence is out.
Yep.
Joe Flacco already played. So if you didn't get a chance to play him, I think Carr is a good option.
Yeah. Kamara's sick. They expect him to play. They said they're going to continue to monitor it. How sick he is and how much that'll affect his game, we'll have to see. But if Kamara does play, we absolutely roll him. For whatever reason, if Kamara and Kendre Miller do miss, we've seen this at the beginning of the season with Jamal Williams. I don't think I would plug in Jamal into my starting lineup unless you absolutely have to have no other pivot. Kamara goes down, you're like, well, this guy's going to start. Okay, fair. But he's not the same type of running back as Kamara. We haven't even seen Kamara just run all over defenses. It's his pass catching ability, and Jamal does not offer that same upside by any means. Chris Olave is an obvious start. Here's a funny one. Rashid Shaheed or Brandon Cooks? If those
Probably
were your two
Rashid
plays.
Shaheed.
I agree, only because they're playing the Bucs defense compared to the Lions, who are just a more formidable team. But yeah, Rashid Shaheed had a monster week last week. He's kind of a hit or miss guy, but we've seen Derek Carr connect with him on the deep ball. I think if you're looking at injuries, whatever the case may be, if you want to put him in at the flex, I don't absolutely hate that. But Taysom Hill, we're done with. We're done with Taysom Hill. We can't throw him out there and have him get 1 carry, 2 carries for 2 yards and just call it a day. Like, in a championship, we just can't take the risk of our tight end getting us, 1 or 2 fantasy points. I do like Groupie. I don't really like the Saints defense, only because the Bucs actually have been very efficient on offense. And to go to the Bucs side of the ball, the Saints 7th against the pass, giving up 195 yards. Pretty bad against the run, 25th, giving up 127 yards. I think it's the same with Derek Carr. Baker Mayfield has been lighting it up, and he's going to have his weapons. Now this is Mike Evans against the Saints. We know how this story goes. We said, I'm pretty sure it was you actually, way earlier in the season, the first time they played. Gosh, I should have went back and checked. I'm pretty sure we said start Mike Evans every week except when they play the Saints. Do we start Mike Evans championship week against the Saints? We have to. You have to. How could you not? But I'm pretty sure we did say that. Now it comes down to the championship week. Yeah, it's just, we've seen every time he plays the Saints, it seems like he just doesn't get it done. But he's gotten you this far. I don't think you can necessarily turn your back on him, but it not even like just something we're putting out there. Like, it is a valid concern. I'm pretty sure last time we dove into the stats of when he plays the Saints, and he typically does not do very well. It's just how it has been his whole career. But that's something to heavily keep an eye on. Chris Godwin has been over 10 targets the past 3 weeks. Chris Godwin can go in the lineup, especially if they are heavily honing in on Mike Evans. Chris Godwin will be the guy that benefits from that. Rachaad White could have a good day on the ground. I mean, he's going to get his pass. He's an obvious start. He's going to get his pass out the backfield, but he could have a solid day on the ground as well. The Saints are not good against the run. We've seen weeks where Rachaad actually has decent running days. But that's really it for the Bucs. I don't think we can start the Bucs defense. And I mean, that's it. I'm interested in this one. I'm like exciting myself for this game. I want to see my guy Derek Carr get to the playoffs too. I got to go for the Saints.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. My next one, I have the Rams heading into New York to take on the Giants. And I mean, I think it's obvious by this point.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams is an auto start, as is, Puka Nacua, if he's playing, you're definitely starting him. Same with Cooper Kupp. Matt Stafford is, I think, a decent option for a quarterback. The Giants are giving up 229.7 pass yards per week and 24.7 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it could be a good week for Stafford.
Yeah.
I don't see really much reason to go away from him. But yeah, I mean, just your typical guys: Stafford, Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. Staying away from Tyler Higbee. And I guess if you want to start Haversick, he's been a decent option.
Yeah, he
So
has.
go ahead with that. And then on to the Giants side of the ball where,
It's Tyrod again.
yeah, it's Tyrod. I mean, Saquon's a good start, and that's really it.
Yeah, the risk with Waller's just too much with all this on the line.
Yeah, I'm not for it. And he might go off and have a 15-point week now that I said that, but I'd rather play it safe. There's just better options for tight end, in my opinion. So I think I'm good off of that. But yeah, I mean, this one, there's really not too much to. Giants are 31st in scoring, 32nd in pass yards per game, 15th rush yards per game. Like I said, start Saquon. It's
Yeah.
really that simple. That's all for this one.
Well, my next game is a game that has a lot of implications for both teams. It's the Raiders at the Colts. Colts are middle of the pack against the pass, giving up 221 yards a game. Towards the end of the barrel against the run, giving up 131 yards. As Schiff had mentioned in the injury report, Michael Mayer will miss, and Josh Jacobs is more than likely going to miss this game as well. The only Raiders I really like starting, Zamir White, no matter, he's getting the carries. With Jacobs going down, I thought we would pass the ball more, but it's not necessarily the case. Zamir White is capable. He's a solid start. Devontae Adams is a solid start. Jacoby Myers is a very risky start. I just looked his past 4 weeks. He's broke double digits twice, but his other 2 weeks, he's gotten like 7 points. He's only going to get 5 or 6 targets a game. He's probably not going to get more than that. If you have faith that he gets in the end zone, which there is a decent chance of. But also, Aiden O'Connell doesn't throw many touchdowns. These are just things you have to keep in mind. I think there's better options when we continue down the flex plays. I do like a Shaheed, a Chris Godwin. I like guys like that a little bit more than Jacoby. I just think they're safer plays. But that's really it for the Raiders. You know what? If you feel confident about this Raiders defense, since Antonio Pierce has taken over, they're number 1 in the NFL in takeaways, number 1 in points allowed a game. They have shown that they can be a top defense. So if you think they can get Gardner Minshew, toss a couple turnovers, force a fumble here or there, it's not the worst play. It's kind of a hit or miss. So, but a risk some people may be willing to take. So I had to throw it out there. And the Colts side of the ball is fairly easy, in my opinion. The Raiders are solid against the pass and, again, struggle against the run, similar to the Colts. I don't necessarily like the Gardner Minshew start, but I really like the Jonathan Taylor start. And obviously, if Michael Pittman goes, you have to start Michael Pittman. But outside of that, for whatever reason, if Michael Pittman does not go, we've seen. I just don't know if we can trust.
Targets just get dispersed more.
Yeah, like it seemed like Josh Downs would just step in as the number 1, but that just hasn't been the case. So Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman and my guy, Matt Gay. Throw him in there.
Yeah, your guy Gay. Yeah, was that all for that one?
Yeah.
All right, my next super exciting matchup. The Patriots are heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills defense has been good, and they're currently only giving up 18.4 points per game, 198.9 through the air, and 111 on the ground. Patriots offense has not been so good. They are currently dead last in points per game, scoring 14.1. 24th in the league in pass yards per game at 189.8, and 25th in the league at rush yards per game at 95.7. I think I don't think the Zeke start is horrible. If he's been getting volume through the air and on the ground,
Yeah.
so that's something we like to see. And he'll probably catch or 5-6 passes.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good start. If you are really strapped for receivers, then Demario, no. And that's it for the Patriots side of the ball. I mean,
It's bad over
just
there.
being realistic. It's your championship week. You're not really taking those kind of chances.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessary. For the Bills, Stephon Diggs has not been treating us well the last few weeks.
No. Patriots are solid on defense. It's the one thing they do have.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently second against the run, which makes me nervous for James Cook, seeing he did not have the greatest game against the Chargers last week. 20 rushing attempts for 70 yards and a fumble. That was it. I think we're back to the well with him. I think we're still starting James Cook, hoping
Yeah.
that he does get some catches out of the backfield, unlike the last game. You're rolling Stephon Diggs. It's been rough, but you're rolling him. Same with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I don't think Gabe Davis. I think he just had his game, and it's back to silence for him. That is my prediction on him.
What
But
about
what?
Kincaid? He hasn't gone double digits since Knox came back. 8, 7,
Nah,
a 0, and 1.7.
nah.
I agree. I it's a he, he's like Darren Waller. Honestly, I might like Darren Waller's value a little more.
Well, yeah, and the Giants are missing Lawrence Cager for whatever that's worth, so it's just one less tight end as compared to Dawson Knox, who, I mean, they're used to him. This is crunch time, playoff type football.
Yeah.
They're gonna go to the guy they trust. Not, I mean, it just eats into whatever Kincaid had when he was out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not that valuable anymore. We'll see next year what ends up happening, but as of right now, I don't think you could really play Kincaid.
I agree.
But that's all for that one.
Yeah. We rolling the Bills defense?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. Bailey Zappi's not going to light it up
He's
every week. I just don't think that's going to happen. But my next game is another decently, I mean, it's a division matchup. It's the Titans at the Texans. The Texans are fairly horrid against the pass, 26th in the league to be exact, 247.5 yards. They're very stout against the run, giving up 90.9, so basically 91 yards a game. And Will Levis does return for the Titans. Obviously not looking to start Will Levis. Derrick Henry is staying on my bench. He has to this week. We just saw literally 2 weeks ago him carry the ball 16 times for 9 yards against this Texans team. The tough part is in between that terrible outing. Gosh, maybe you have to kick the tires on him. He's been doing really good. He's been getting in the end zone. He's been getting like 15 plus fantasy points. You drafted him super high. It scares me because we talk about when it's the second time teams play each other, they know the game plan. They know what they have to do. If you take Derrick Henry out from the Titans, they're not good enough. Will Levis and D-Hop alone are not good enough to make everything happen. It folds. So I guess I put him in a Tony Pollard situation where he could have a solid week, but we legitimately
It's
just
also
saw
worth
him.
mentioning that when these two teams played the previous time, Case Keenum was playing quarterback for the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
And that's worth mentioning because they might end up scoring quite a bit more, able to move the ball quite a bit more. CJ Stroud and Nico Collins.
Mm-hmm.
might change a lot. They might not be in a position where they can run the ball because they are in the lead.
And then we
So,
see a Ty Spears a lot more when they're having to pass. So these are things, very valid things to be concerned about with Derrick Henry. And in my opinion, it's the same thing with D-Hop. Now he does get back Will Levis, who we saw him have fairly more success with than Tannehill. But D-Hop's past 2 weeks, he has 4 catches for 41 yards. So he was targeted 9 times against the Texans. I think D-Hop is a bit safer of a play, especially if they go down and the Texans start playing a bit more soft coverage. D-Hop is going to get his looks. He got 9 targets the last time they played him. But even then, we knew coming into the season. It's just tough because, if you drafted D-Hop, Derrick Henry, you drafted them early. And the Titans' offense just has not been exciting. The Texans. We throw in Stroud right back in the lineup?
yeah.
Yeah. He missed their first outing, as, Schiff had mentioned, against the Titans, but Stroud has just been electric when he plays football. He's someone we got to throw out there. I like the Devin Singletary start. He has just completely taken over that backfield, and he's actually been very solid as of recent. Nico Collins is a very easy start for me. Noah Brown, I can't do it. Not in a championship week. I just think it's a very risky play. He's a guy that can get you. He's a Gabe Davis type that can completely burn you, and I think we play it a little bit safer than that in a championship. Dalton Schultz, on the other hand, though, I roll. I absolutely roll Dalton Schultz. He's currently the tight end 10, despite missing 2 weeks and having a very slow start to the season. He's probably going to be the number 2 target there out the backfield. The number 2 passing target is probably going to be Dalton Schultz. So I do feel safe starting him. And the guy himself does return, Kaimi Fairbairn, and he was very good to start the year. And I think the Texans will score a decent amount of points. So I do like starting him, but I'm kind of staying away from the defenses. I don't know if I can trust the Texans defense with my season on the line.
Fair enough.
Here, keep going. I'll be literally 1 minute, but keep going. Start the next one.
Okay. Well, but the next one, this one could go either way, I guess. We've seen Philadelphia Eagles keep their opponents in the game for whatever reason the past couple of weeks. The Giants was just. We went back and watched worst plays of the week for week 16, and one of them was Boston Scott taking a kickoff back, and Olamide Zaccheaus turns around and just smacks into him, causing him to fumble, and the Giants clearly get good possession, proceed to score. The Eagles have just been making weird mistakes the past couple of weeks against the Seahawks. They ended up losing that one. They very well could have lost this one against the Giants. So I think this one with the Cardinals coming into town, even though they're 3-12, could be a lot more interesting than Eagles fans would like to see. Cardinals have been running the ball very well. James Conner is back in form. Now, the Eagles are only giving up 2 yards on the ground per game. But James Conner kind of cut up against the 49ers. They're very good on the ground, too.
Yeah.
They're also likely going to be missing Cunningham. And I don't know. I think James Conner should be a good start.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, we saw, is questionable with the illness. He will likely play. If he does go, I think he's a decent enough start. Even though Hollywood Brown isn't playing, he hasn't really been much a part of the offense when he was playing,
Yeah.
like the last 4 or 5 weeks. Trey McBride is an obvious start in my opinion, and I mean I guess Matt Prater.
Yeah.
I'm not really wagering my whole season on a Greg Dortch start,
No.
but he
No.
might go off and have a good game. So if you're really desperate, I mean, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, best ball
But
purposes, I like him on the roster.
yeah, something along those lines. But not like I said, wagering my chances at a championship on a Greg Dortch start. Now, those are really the only guys: Kyler, James Conner, Trey McBride, and I mean Michael Wilson. I just don't really trust him yet. Like I
Yeah.
said, there's a possibility with next year, but we got to see where everything goes in Arizona. Moving on to the Eagles side of the ball, where the Cardinals defense does not move me at all. They're 12th against the pass, but that doesn't mean I'm not starting my guys on the Eagles. I think DeAndre Swift should have a good week, so I'm rolling with him. He had a good week last week. Jalen Hurts is obvious. A.J. Brown is obvious. Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I think they should both be good starts, great starts as well.
Yeah.
Jake Elliott, I don't know. I don't think I'd prefer to start the Eagles defense, honestly, but yeah, I mean, you're starting all your main guys for the Eagles. This is not a defense that concerns me by any means. So, should be a good week for the guys.
Yeah. Well, bit of a less interesting game. The battle of the cats. The Panthers at the Jaguars. The Jaguars are near the bottom of the league against the pass. They give up 257 yards a game. Panthers don't pass for many yards a game. Jaguars are a lot better against the run, 11th in the league, only giving up 101 yards. I like Chuba Hubbard. He's gone double digits for us the past 5 weeks. And as a flex play, I actually do like Adam Thielen. He's not getting the volume we saw towards the beginning of the season when he was a clear-cut wide receiver 1. But if we're considering him, as a flex play, especially in like a 3-receiver league, he's still getting around 7 targets a game. Past 3 weeks, 12.4, 8.3, 15.4. I think they should be able to compete a little bit more in this one without Trevor Lawrence being in the game. And we did see the Panthers actually have some success on offense against the Packers. So I have a little bit of hope for them, but not very much. And the Jaguars, as just stated, Trevor Lawrence will be missing. So it will be CJ Beathard. ETN's going to have a good game. He's another one that these past 2 weeks, which were obvious playoff weeks for a lot of people, has let us down. This is the week to come back. The Panthers are very good against the pass. They only give up 176 yards. They're pretty bad against the run. They give up 121. If there was a week for ETN to bounce back and have a crazy week, it is this one. Zay Jones is questionable in this one. Knowing him, even if he does play, there's a good chance he gets banged up and has to leave again. We've seen it plenty times before. It leaves Calvin Ridley, who you have to start because he's going to get hyper-targeted. Him and Evan Ingram will get almost every target outside of ETN or whatever comes out the backfield. It's going to be all Calvin Ridley. You got to hope that he's successful because we've seen his catch rate be pretty low in a lot of games. But he will get the targets for me to feel comfortable starting him. And Evan Ingram, he's the tight end 6 on the season. He's a definite start. And I'd say the same with, no, never mind. McManus has missed his last 3 field goals he's kicked. I take it back. Absolutely not McManus. Did not know he's been that bad. Jeez, that was terrible.
Yeah. Is that all you got for that one?
Yeah.
This one, I mean, from the outside looking, it's kind of ugly, but in all reality, both of these teams are fighting for their playoff lives. Um, the Falcons are going into Chicago to take on the Bears, and I mean, it's kind of like the Raiders. They need a lot to happen, but the Bears are not yet eliminated. They obviously would have to win out, and then they would need the Seahawks, Rams, Saints to all lose their final two games. Which isn't impossible, but considering the Rams play the Giants this week, I'd.
They're not getting in. They're not getting in. They could get in.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
they could.
insane?
Yeah, I mean, they have a 1% chance of making. You guys have a 10% chance. So you have a little bit better of a chance. On to the actual game. Um, Taylor Heineke is going to be starting again, and I don't know, man. I mean, it's been so hard week to week with the Atlanta pass catchers. Now this week they're going up against the Bears defense, who's 25th in the league against the pass. Pretty awful. If there's a chance to be I mean, Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown last week. I think you can roll Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Go ahead against the Bears. Go ahead. Bijan, yes, you can play against the Bears, even though they are the number one defense against the run, just due to the fact that he has been catching passes. And if they want to give themselves a chance, he will be continuing to catch passes.
Yeah.
So I trust him for that. And Drake London, I mean, it's tough. It really is. Because it's just on a week to week basis. It's not even his fault. It's just whether or not he gets the targets. Because he can sure as hell catch them. But, I mean, if you want to take the chance, go for it. But
Yeah.
we all know the possible horrible outcome it could be. So just keeping that in mind, I think maybe keep it simple. Just Bijan, Kyle Pitts. I mean, I do like Kyle Pitts this week. I really do. I
Yeah.
think he should get some usage, and I mean, I'd like to hope the same with London. I think London should be a decent flex play at best.
Yeah.
That's all for the Falcons side of the ball. Going over to the Bears, where it's just been so weird with those running backs. I mean, we saw Khalil Herbert kind of plant his flag, but is that gonna last? Is it you know, I don't know. Justin Fields is currently the leading rusher on the Bears with 585 yards. It's just such a mix of everybody in that backfield. It's hard to really determine, and yet through all of it, they are second in rushing with 142 yards per game. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you can start Fields. I think DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Um, Last week, like I said, he had an injury that looked so much worse than it actually was. I was surprised he actually came back in and played more in that game. So, but if he's going to be healthy throughout the whole game, definitely playing him. Cole Kmet, man.
I love him, dude. It's Cole Kmet.
Roll him. Just roll him.
You have to.
Just roll him. And I'd stay away from the running backs. I'd still, despite what we saw to Khalil Herbert, maybe if we see it again, that's some insight into next year, which we clearly had none of going into this year. Thought we'd. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I cannot say I trust any of those running backs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
that will
I got
close
one
that
more.
one out for me. No, I know. For me,
And it's gonna be an
that's my
ugly one.
last one.
Oh, that what? Dang. Okay. Yeah. No, this is the last of the morning games. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. We've been moving. And this one, it's the Niners at the Commanders. Commanders' defense is terrible. Absolutely
Oh yeah.
terrible. This is going to be a great bounce back week for the Niners. It's You're starting
Yeah.
everyone. I'm starting Purdy, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. Screw it. Throw out Jake Moody if you want. Honestly, I I kind of like the Niners D. Like they don't cause that much havoc, but I kind of like the Niners defense in this one. It
Now I have a question for you. In this guillotine league, obviously I'm one of two people left, so there's options for quarterback. And this guy's hogging Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. So I currently have Josh Allen. Do you think Brock Purdy, and keep in mind it's 6 point passing touchdowns. Now, do you think Brock Purdy at Washington is a better start than Josh Allen against New England?
Oh,
The six
maybe.
point passing touchdowns is huge.
Yeah, because they're the same as running.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen's thrown 27 tutties, and Purdy's thrown 29. Yeah. I honestly, I think Brock Purdy could have a better week. Yeah, I really do. This could be a 3-4 touchdown throwing game. Realistically, like the Niners could put up a 40 piece very easily in this one. It, and to go to the Commanders side of the ball, and I'm just being frank, and I hate to say it because I absolutely despise the Niners. I really don't like anyone on the Commanders this week. Like I have, I guess, the most faith in Scary Terry. Like, okay, to dive into it, if Brissett does start and he is able to go, we've seen him have some decent success with Scary Terry. The Niners are very dominant against the run. They only give up 90 yards a game. They're like middle of the pack. They're 16th in the league, giving up 222 yards through the air. Brian Robinson's coming back for the Commanders. I don't really like starting Brian Robinson in this one. I think the Niners are going to go up quick, and you're going to see a lot of Antonio Gibson in this one. Now, Brian Robinson, we've seen him catch some passes out the backfield, not on a consistent basis, week in, week out, but he does have the capability. We've been without him the past couple weeks. You've got to this point without him. I don't like throwing him in over someone that you've used to get you to this point. I just think that's a very risky pivot. And then the receivers, like we say, you don't know which one's gonna go off. Like Scary Terry had that big week, but then outside of that week, his past games have been 8 points. Then he had that 26-point week, which was huge. 0, 9, 9, 7. It's gotten to the point where it's like you're in the championship or playing for third for your money back. Screw where you drafted people. None of that matters right now. It's who's the hot hand, who can you trust to throw out there. I feel like there's a lot of guys like a Jaden Reed. You're able to grab him off the waiver. I like him endlessly more than like Terry right now. It's just those are the questions you have to ask yourself. Are you willing to take the risk on a guy that you maybe picked off waiver or drafted super late? Or are you like, oh, I drafted Terry 6th round, I got to throw him out there. And he gives you another 8-point week, like he has been week in and week out. It's just the questions to ask yourself. You know, it's obviously your guys' choice, and I wish the best outcome for you, but I truly would avoid every single commander in this one. I think the Niners are going to come to play. It's the same as when they were on that 3-game losing streak and they were going to play Jacksonville, and I was like, they are going to destroy Jacksonville this week. And they did in Jacksonville. So
I agree.
the Commanders, it's going to be a very rough week for them. What?
Agree.
That's it, right? That was our last one.
Yep.
Well,
We will be back in the next one with the afternoon games and the Sunday night game. So,
yes, sir.
see y'all then.